everyone, I'm Michelle, I'm one of the teachers here at Northway, and I'm just here to speak to you a little bit about how you can support your child with yoga at home. Some classes have started doing yoga at school. I've been doing a special yoga course to try and implement special yoga as a therapeutic intervention within school, so I'm just going to include some tips and tricks on how to support your child with this at home. So, first things first, the whole ethos of special yoga is our state matters first. So how we are feeling directly impacts the child in a yoga session. So if we are going into a yoga session with anxieties and worries and stressing about getting them on a mat and getting them to do all of these different poses, it's just not going to work. So the whole premise of yoga is to meet them with intention, not expectation. So don't expect them to perform loads of different poses. Don't expect them to do a 20-25 minute yoga session with you. Just lead with intention. We have good intentions of intending to have a practice with the child, intending to give them some calm. If it happens, great. If it doesn't happen, Rome wasn't built in a day. It will happen eventually. And success looks different to all children. It could be a 20-second moment of stillness, a 20-second moment of calmness, or it could be a 20-minute whole practice. So please don't be disheartened if your child's not quite there yet. It will come with practice. So first and foremost, as I said, we need to make sure that our energy is creating an opportunity for change of the state of the child. So if they're anxious, we want to try and bring them down to meet our energy, our calm energy. So the things I would like to show you first are some breathing practices. So the first things first is a touch-supported breathing practice you can do with your child. Easiest way I would say to do this is if you sit alongside your child. It's a bit hard showing you without having a child sat here, but anyway. If you sit alongside your child and you just get them to place their hand on your tummy and you take some deep breaths in and out, and encourage them to feel the movement of your belly as you breathe in and out, and then move their hand over to their tummy to see if they can feel the same movement in their tummy. So ideally we want to be moving the belly out as we breathe in and in as we breathe out. Getting myself confused. In and out. So that's touch-supported breathing. Again, belly breathing, same premise. We start with our hands on our tummy, deep breaths in, feeling our belly rise and fall. And the aim is to get the breath all the way down to the belly, because a lot of our children have the habit of reverse breathing, whereby all of the breathing is done in the chest and it's really restrictive. We want to work it all the way down to get a big, full breath. So that can be helped with touch-supported breathing, as I just showed you. Another practice I do with the children is something we call train breathing, which is encouraging the children to breathe through their nose and not their mouth. So I'll just show you very quickly. I'll shuffle my bottom back to the back of the mat, and I always say to children, I'll put some super glue on your lips. And the idea is you do not breathe through your mouth, you do not open your mouth at all. Any breaths you do are in through your nose, out through your nose. So to do this, we imagine that our bodies are a train, so we've got our legs out in front of us, our arms next to us, and with every breath in, we're going to shuffle ourselves forward. So, as an example, and when you get to the front, big breath in, and like a train. And again, journey backwards. Okay, so that's our train breath. I would try to repeat that at least 5 times, I would say. Support your child with breathing in through their nose. Another method of helping them breathe through their nose is just with nostril breathing. So you'd get your 2 pointing fingers and you want to work from right to left. So we're going to cover our left nostril with our left finger and just simply do some breaths in and out. Through the right side, I'd say about 10 breaths through the right side. Swap over. 10 breaths through the left side. And when your child is ready, once they've picked this up quite quickly, you can then start doing alternate nostril breathing. I wouldn't suggest doing this too early on in your practice because it can be quite overwhelming. But if you are ready and you feel like your child is ready, you simply breathe in through the right, swap over, and out through the left. And I would do that for 1 minute. So it might be useful to have a sound timer, a visual timer if you're on an iPad or something, you can put it with you. But for 1 minute for nostril breathing. Another breathing method we like to do is coherent breathing. There's different forms of coherent breathing. Simplest form of coherent breathing for our children I would start them off with is just a simple holding our arms here, and we breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. And you can pretend that you're holding a balloon or a ball, and as you breathe in, ball gets bigger, 2, 3, 4, and smaller, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. Again, I would do that for about a minute or so. You can also do this bringing your arms up and down if that movement works better for you. So up, 2, 3, 4, breathe, out, 2, 3, 4. You can also bring them up this way, breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. I find it's better to do this sitting, but you can also do it standing if you prefer. Just have a little play around with it and see which one works best for your child. Now, some of our favourite breaths. These are our ha breaths. So, for these ones, we need to be standing. This technique I'm about to show you is particularly good for children with ADHD. However, I wouldn't do it any more than 5 times because it could run the risk of getting them a bit too excited and a bit too overstimulated. But it does provide some good sensory feedback to the legs. So we start with our feet apart. Take a big deep breath in. You tap the back of your neck here. And as you breathe out, you ha! So you slap the thighs and ha! Your breath out. So tap and ha! Tap and ha! Again, about 5 or 6 times with that one. We also have what we call a love ha breath, which is a bit calmer. So we bring our arms up, we breathe in, and the idea is that you're sending love out to whoever you want to send love out to. So you could strike up a conversation with your child and dictate them to think of something they love, someone they love, something they'd like to send some positivity out to, some love out to, and you breathe in and visualise sending love out to that thing or person. Another half breath we can do is just a simple flick of the wrists. So you would breathe in, ha, ha, and it's a bit more of a short, sharp ha than ha or ha. So, ha, ha. Okay, so those are our ha breaths. Again, whilst you're standing, you might like to go into a volcano breath, which is where we try and get the children to visualise all of their anxieties and worries kind of bubbling up like a volcano as they breathe in. And when they've reached the top of their breath, they let their volcano erupt and out again. So we breathe in. And again, I and do that for about 4 or 5 times, depending on how your child gets on with that. Sometimes they quite enjoy the verbal outlet there, so that's quite a nice one to do. And the final breathing exercise I want to show you is a 3-part breath we do. We usually do this at end of session, but you can slot it in as and where you see fit, whereby we start with our hands in our snake position. We take a breath in. So we out like a snake, that's on the out breath. We then bring our hands up into our birthday candle and we take a big breath in and blow out the candles. And from here, we bring our fingers to our lips and we breathe in. Now, so those are the main breathing practices I use within our yoga sessions. I don't use them all in one session. I kind of pick 1 or 2 that I think will be appropriate for that day, or ones that I think the children have responded well to in the past, and I use those in the sessions. They don't all work well for everybody. It depends on the child's preference and on your preference as well. So have a play around with them, see which ones you like, which ones you don't, and incorporate those into your practice. Now I'm going to move on to just showing you some simple postures to support you with your child at doing yoga at home. One thing to note is if your child's particularly anxious and quite hyperactive, you would start with standing poses and then gradually bring them down to the floor to ground them. If your child is in need of a bit of waking up and they're a bit sluggish and not quite with it, you'd start on doing floor poses and then gradually work their way up to standing poses. So, a couple of our floor poses. First one I'm going to show you is a forward fold. So, we put our legs out in front of us, and we tend to, in class, we tend to on the out breath, just as a way of regulating the breathing during this pose. So, take a deep breath in, and on. Big breath in. Forward folds I would repeat 5 times, and I always like to try and start a sequence off with a forward fold if I'm starting on the floor. If I'm starting standing, you can do a standing forward fold whereby you breathe in and out. Standing forward fold. Or as some of the children like to call this, gorilla pose. So, that's our forward fold. Now into lateral bends, we have our legs crossed. And again, you start from right, work through to the left. So, put one hand on the floor, one hand comes up just by our ear, and we reach over. Taking some breaths here, feeling that stretch. Now, if your child's able to do this independently, great. If they need some support, you can sit behind them. If you sit behind them, have your leg either side. You can hold their hand here, that's support there, and gradually guide their arm up and over. I would hold them here, and just gradually hold them there. Don't push them, don't yank them up, just a gradual hold. And then again, the same on the other side, so this arm comes down, bring the other arm up, and stretching over to the other side. Try not to get ear to shoulder, just try and create some space there. And again, if your child needs a bit of support, sit behind them, and you can do some hand over hand support and getting them into that pose as well.